Hey, welcome back to another episode of Shop Talk, where today it's all about Razer. I got my good friend Hallie Hoyt joining me, where we're going to introduce the all-new XPS. Stay tuned for more. All right, so Hallie, give us a little rundown. What do we have in the shop today that we're talking about?
Yeah, so over by you, Pat, we have the Razer XP, the tried and true 64-inch, and on my side, we have the brand new Razer XPS.
Nice. So I think for everybody at home, it's maybe worth a short history lesson on Razer XP 1000 versus Razer XP, right? So if you think back, model year 14 is when the Razer XP 1000 hit the market. And it's been over a decade with a few iterations in between. When we launched that, it was originally tailored for kind of that dune and desert wide open space. But over the course of time, 5 years in, we really updated that platform, restyled it, right? And it transferred the ability to make it more of a Swiss Army knife and be way more useful back east. So you think of places, right, like Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, down in Texas, there's a lot more places that Razer XPs are useful in. And when we relaunched this machine a couple years back, we really kept that top of mind that, this thing needs to work not just out west, but really kind of work everywhere, right?
That's what I love about this. I get super excited because when I think of the Razer XPS now, we are catering to places like Brimstone out in Tennessee, like what you're talking, the green trails of the Hatfield McCoy. And then you bring that back west and we start talking Utah. Really shines well in Moab, the Sand Hollow area. This puppy will climb.
All right, well, I think we better roll that one out. We'll focus a bit on this and then we'll jump back to that in a minute. All right, so when you think about the Razer XP 1000, this is a platform that we launched back in model year 14. And that older generation lived for a long time. So when you think about it, that really set the standard in the industry for the rec side-by-side class of vehicle. And it was the ultimate combination of power, suspension, and agility. As we move forward, we updated that model about halfway through, gave it some new styling, and then we came out with this new Razer XP a couple years ago. And when you look at this, there's been some huge upgrades. Clearly, styling's all new, comfort's all new, interior got upgraded, the driveline got updated, the suspension's been all retuned. There's a lot of things going on. But I think, Hallie, we're going to focus on what's changed for this year, right?
Yep,
So as we look at the front of this machine, there's a few things that have actually styling-wise changed, right?
Yeah. So some of the things that you'll notice first, the fang lights. These are amazing, right? This is the friendly familiar that we're used to seeing from the Turbo S chassis that everyone knew and loved. The coolest part is, if you're a night rider, you're gonna know it's a Razer coming down the trail right away.
Yeah, I think the other thing I noticed right away too is that the grill's been updated, but still super easy to get out. So if I got to clean mud out of my radiator, like pop it out, hose it out, no problem, ready to go. And I think with this, the hood line moved up just a little bit too, right?
Yep, just a hair, just to get that bullnose effect. It makes it look a lot more muscular. And honestly, it looks mean.
So the other thing that I pick up on is this bumper actually is a lower profile now, right?
Correct. Yeah, much more consistent with our Pro lineup. Again, we're getting back to this familiar feel, Razer DNA.
And the other thing, some of these models actually now come standard with this 4,500 pound winch, right?
You got it. Yep, standard on all Ultimate models.
Nice. All right, so looking at the front end, I think this bodywork changed just slightly, right, to enhance that upper body line, but largely similar style moving our way back.
Yep,
right?
Similar style moving our way back. A question that someone may ask is, well, did your accessories change? Do I need to go buy a new windshield? That answer is no. We kept everything consistent, so your accessories are going to fit from model year 24 up to model year 26.
Nice. So as we move back to the interior, largely that is unchanged from previous model years, right?
You got it.
I think the one thing that we will need to jump in and show these guys, though, is how to do the speed limiting functionality. So if you got a newer rider, right, you can actually limit the top speed on this all the way down to, what, 30 miles an hour?
Yep, 30 miles an hour.
And bump it up by 5 mile an hour increments. So we'll show you guys that in just a minute. Now, as we get to the back, largely similar here as well, but are there any things that, maybe are good to talk about in the back end of this, whether it's driveline or suspension related?
Yeah, so if we talk about the last 11 years, as Pat mentioned, we've heard great things on the XP 1000 platform. It is tried and true. It's been around the block. But there's room for refinement, right? So we changed up the driveline in the first year, model year 24, to give it just kind of that stronger feel, more durability to go play in things like the rock and the mud in the trails. We have a lower low gear now, which is awesome for rock crawling. Some of the things like I love doing out west. A couple other things to note is the suspension. So though it looks the same as prior model years, there's internal upgrades that actually give us more comfort, a plusher ride. You want to ride longer. It's more fun.
So Hallie, one of the other things I noticed while driving yesterday is just how easy it was to shift this model year 26 Razer XP. What's going on there?
Yeah, so we have a new remove collar shift. Really what that means is it's a lot smoother getting through those gears. You can find home easier. I think the biggest difference is if you're on a hill parked up or down, you can get out of gear really nicely.
Yeah, and I think one of the other cool things, there's a new accessory this year as well for some people that maybe haven't heard about it, right? Where if you want to drop that engine noise down, those revs down a little, we've got some new clutch weight kits that are available, right?
Yeah, so you can get these new clutch kits through our service or PG&A catalog. It's a heavier weight clutch, so what you're going to get is heavier clutch weights and an updated spring. And really where that's really meaningful is when you want to have a conversation with someone in the vehicle, you're just out cruising for the day.
Yeah, nice. Now, one of the other things I noticed back here is the skid plate's been updated as well, right?
Yeah, yep. So we have brought the steel skid plate all the way to the back to protect that transmission. And really what that's for is when you're out riding kind of more of those extreme days, you're keeping everything really well protected.
Nice. Well, let's jump into the interior and show these guys kind of just how easy that shifting is and what that speed limiting is all about.
Sounds great. Let's go.
All right, so now that we're in the interior of this thing, we just wanted to show you guys this easiness of RC shifting. So I'm in park right now, and the nice part is I can hit any gear I want. And if I'm going up something, saying low, and I got to get into reverse quick, I can tap 2 gears and I hit the one I want every time. You know, reverse, low, high. If I'm in a hairy situation and I got to bounce it back to reverse, I'm nailing the gear every single time. You guys can maybe hear the clicks on camera, but super easy to hit the gear you want.
Super smooth.
And and it's easy to pull out even when you're parked on an incline. Now the other thing here when we talk speed limiting, and we'll maybe zoom in to show you guys this, but pretty simple. You can either tap at the top here or hit this button, go down, hit all settings. Then you're going to go to vehicle here on the lower left, and you're looking for the one that says speed limit with the lock symbol. So you're going to tap on that. It's going to ask you for a 4-digit code. If you've never set it, you're going to have to do that first. I've already got mine set to the year Polaris was founded, so I'm going to go into this menu, and you can see here pretty simply it's off. I'm going to turn that on. Right now we're set to 30, and if I tap it a couple times, get it up to 40. Great speed for, you know, training or, you know, an easy day out on the trails. All right, so the other thing that I always forget about until I sit in these new Razer XPs is just how darn comfortable they are on the inside, right? These upgraded seats versus what I'm used to from a decade ago, smaller steering wheel, tight steering rack. I got lots of places to move my dead pedal foot here, right? So I'm not going to get locked in over a day of riding. But we're different heights and sizes, and we both fit pretty good.
We do. Honestly, I'm so used to prior model years just elbowing, but there's really great room in here. You don't have to worry about leg fatigue. The seats have been updated, have a really comfortable ride all day, and your knee, there's a lot of space between your knee and the doors now. And that is one thing with the doors, right? We went to full half door, and it keeps you clean all day, and it's really nice on those cooler days. Also, the Rockford Fosgate audio is incredible. What sets us apart here is Rockford tuned the overall sound experience to go with this vehicle and outdoors. And we can accessorize from a stage 3, which comes standard on the Ultimate trims, all the way up to a stage 6. And then if we go even further, the refinement really gets brought along in the cage and the one-piece chassis. One
of the other big things too that we got to highlight, right, is storage. Like you know, I can reach everything, you know, steering wheel, switches, shifter. I don't have to pull my shoulders off the seat, comfortable there. But I've got room for some storage here. You've got up top and down low on your side, right? So a lot of adjustability and storage. And from a grab handle perspective, you know, we've got this built-in lug wrench that people aren't always aware of. That's pretty trick.
Yeah.
But adjusting that thing is also super easy, right?
It is very buttery. I think that's the thing. When you get into this new model year, not only do you have a really smooth shift, but you have really smooth adjustment on the go.
Nice. All right. Well, Hallie, I think we've covered off enough on the Razer XP. Let's jump over to the XPS and get that one rolled into the shop.
Sounds great.
All right. So, Hallie, we rolled the Razer XP out of the shop, and we've got this new XPS, and this thing looks impressive. I mean, bigger stance, wider vehicle, sitting up a bit higher, more ground clearance, but let's start out on this corner and kind of walk us through what's going on, wheel, tire, hub, suspension, everything you got going on here.
Doesn't this look mean? I'm just so excited because let's talk about these wheels and tires. We're bringing a 32-inch tire over from the Pro S series, which is fantastic. You have a 5-lug hub, really more automotive grade. As you move to the back side of the tire, what you'll notice are these really strong, robust control arms and half shafts. It just looks bigger. It's all been inspired from the Pro series. And so we're bringing those turbo components into the XP.
Yeah, so the other thing I noticed here, obviously bigger shock. We've got Velocity series now that we'll talk about on the bench a little later. But coming back down the drive line, beefed up front drive, different gearing, right?
Yep.
And even the one thing that's hard to see and visualize here is the frame's also been upgraded, right?
Yes.
So maybe walk us through what's changed on the chassis on this rig.
Yeah, so what's really cool about the XP lineup is the durability and quality that we've brought into this family. They have the exact same chassis from the Razer XP to now the Razer XPS. We also went away from the M10 suspension bolts and we went over to an M12. Again, just bigger, stronger.
Yeah, and those are across both models in the lineup, the XP and the XPS, right?
You got it.
All right, so Hallie, coming back to the back of this rig, right, I noticed the same kind of largeness of parts, right? But width-wise, this machine is not 74 inches wide like a Pro R or a Pro S, right?
It is not. It's 72 inches to fit most trails.
All right, so same size wheel and tire, front and rear, correct?
Got it.
Trailing arm looks very turbo-esque like to me. Is it exactly the same or?
It's not.
Not, okay.
It's not. Mounting points are different.
All right, so keeping going on here, obviously we've got a Velocity series shock in the back, adjustable crossover rings, and we'll show you guys those on the bench, but the radius rods look huge on this to me.
They do. Again, all inspired by the Pro lineup. You get back here, the transmission is actually geared like the Pro S. The whole drive line has been upgraded about 30%.
And everything driveline wise has been geared down to handle these big 32-inch tires, right?
You got it. It's geared for larger tires, geared for a lower low. Right? Think, again, that technical terrain, that sporty feel.
Now, the other thing I see kind of peering through the rim, it looks like we've upgraded the brakes as well on this, right?
You got it. All designed around performance.
All right, well, let's run over to the bench and we can kind of show you guys some differences between the 64-inch wide Razer XP and the 72-inch wide XPS parts. All right, so Hallie, we don't have the Comparo trailing arms, but this XPS one is beefy. Like, I feel like this is like workout day curling this thing. Like, it surprised me picking this up just how heavy this thing is. Super thick steel, right? We've got tubular construction from tip to tail, gusset plates all the way down. This thing is built like a tank.
As it should be, because if you think about where this vehicle shines, our bread and butter with XPS is more technical riding.
All right, so the next one up we've got our control arms here, and I'll hand you the XPS one so you can get the arm workout.
Okay.
And I get the lightweight one this time.
It's not as heavy as you said it was.
I like you a little less right now. Turns out though, this one's easy to see, right? If we hold these things up, you guys can see on camera, smaller tubes here, right? Bigger ones here. You've got way bigger gusseting on the XPS than the XP, so I think that story is pretty easy to tell and visually easy to see. All right, now the next one where I think we need your expertise is front drives, right? So we've got XP here, XPS here. What's the difference between these two?
Yeah, so visually you can see that this is a slightly larger housing on the XPS. Again, very turbo inspired, big, beefy. The splines are also different between the two. Again, this to support higher loads, higher torque.
Right, and really the case is bigger to be able to handle a bigger gear set, to be able to handle that bigger load path.
You got it.
Right?
Yep.
And you can see that as we come to the prop shafts here, right? Again, compare these two, but show us what's different on these.
Yeah, so on the XP, you'll see that it's a little smaller diameter than the XPS.
The other thing I notice is that the joints are actually quite a bit different. So you guys might be able to see that on camera, but you know, this one on my right hand, your left, is going to be a larger U-joint than the 64-inch rig, right? All right, so coming down, next thing we've got our shafts. So let's grab those off the table and talk about those next.
Yeah, so visually you can obviously see the length. This is the 72-inch wide version. Here's your 64. Biggest difference is in the internals. The XP has a 6-ball. Whereas the XPS has an 8-ball.
Yeah, so really what that means, right, is you get better angularity with higher loads. So as this joint is articulating, as you're going up and down through that increased travel, right, it can go further and maintain more strength without having to worry about blowing that CV joint apart. All right, and then we've got shock comparisons here, and I think let's grab the rears because it's a little easier to see than the fronts. But as we think about shocks, from a travel and ground clearance perspective, what is the big difference between the two, like spec-wise?
Yeah, so ground clearance to XPS is 16 inches. On XP, it's 14 and a half.
Okay.
Your wheel travel that you're getting with XPS now is 25 inches.
All right, now the other thing people will notice is I'm going to kind of hold these reservoirs at about the same height. And what you see is that this one's actually slid down for the XPS. This is the Velocity series from Walker Evans, and it's really cool technology in that we get different ride zones when the shock piston connected to this movable rod is above or below this point. So we get progressive damping with this shock and progressive rebound. The other thing that's nice is down at the bottom of this one, there's actually a top-out cup. So as that shock, fully extends, it takes some of that clanking noise out that you might otherwise hear on some models when that wheel drops all the way out. The other thing that you'll see here is a crossover ring that's adjustable. So, when you go from the tender spring into the main spring, if you add a bunch of weight to your vehicle, you can actually adjust that manually on the XPS where you can't on the standard XP.
Correct.
So huge upgrade on shocks overall, makes for really awesome ride quality. All right, so Hallie, it's your turn to drive now, right? And we're sitting in this awesome interior and everything feels like home, right? The XP versus the XPS, virtually identical. Seats, grab handles, leg room, all that stuff. But the one big thing I did notice while driving is that we got an extra switch here on the dash, right?
Yeah.
And what are these drive modes all about on the XPS?
So the first mode here is rock, which you had some time to play with yesterday.
I did, yeah. I went out and found a rock pile yesterday, and there's two areas that I found rock mode to be really nice. One was when I was just cruising, like leaving the shop, getting out of here and coming back in. You get a lot more throttle pedal travel before that engine and clutch are engaging and the engine's revving up. And when you're in tight technical terrain, like going up a rock pile, over a log, that type of thing, it's really nice to get that extra level of control and modulation of the pedal before the engine's ramping up on you.
You're not overshooting.
No, for sure, that is the case. Now, if we flip this to the middle, the standard.
Yep.
I'll say when I was in standard, that reminded me of being in any tried and true Razors. Like that was like going home. I was used to that. It's exactly what I was, ready for.
Or you just want something that doesn't feel as peppy, that you're more comfortable with. Standard's really great.
All right, so the big thing I noticed when I flipped that switch down to sport yesterday is that as I was tipping into the throttle, the engine would jump up really fast, engage the clutches, and I was moving. And I'll tell you, when you upgrade the suspension, the width of this vehicle, the stability, like everything about this is super well balanced to each other. And I was rallying through the trails and just giggling the whole time. Like it is such a great combination of the power delivery, the capability of the machine, but like I never felt like I was getting out of control. You know what I mean? It was like point and shoot as I went. Even with the wider vehicle on narrower trails, I was having a blast. All right, so Hallie, we've talked a lot about these model year 26, both Razer XP and the all-new XPS. What are the top few things that people should remember from this episode?
Yeah, what I'd really love you to remember and take home is the new 72-inch stance on the Razer XPS. Really ties nicely into the menacing, strong, muscular style that comes along with the new fang lights brought back from Turbo S. You can tell it's a Razer coming down the trail. I think the other piece I'd like you to take away is really the durability and reliability of the Pro S inspired driveline.
Hey, that's it for this episode of Shop Talk. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you want to see next time.